Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video on how I go ahead and buff out all my gloss black stuff if there's scratches from shipping, from the plastic rubbing on it, or if it just has a deep scratch in it. You look at urethane clear as kind of a rubber ball. If it gets scratched, you can melt it and then that scratch goes away. Well, that's kind of the same thing with urethane clear. It's that protectant on top of your base coat that allows for any scratches to be buffed out. The rule of thumb is if you can feel the scratch with your fingernail, then it's probably too deep to be buffed out. But these are what I use to buff out my gloss black or any painted really. Like I said, I try least aggressive first, so I'll try either just a wax first. If that doesn't seem to cover it up, I'll try to polish to try to get rid of that wax. And if that doesn't work, then I will actually go down to a compound. So your compound is actually an abrasive, so it actually will scratch the clear, but it'll get it hot where it wants to melt that scratch out. After you go from compound, you go to a glaze, a polishing glaze. Now this is a machining polish glaze, professional, but you can use any kind of polishing glaze. Carnauba wax, there's a few different kinds of carnauba wax. There's a couple different types of wax. I prefer carnauba wax. And then a quick detailer. This will allow you to wipe off any extra residue or anything like that without scratching, because if you were to use just our rubbing alcohol, you would actually strip off all that wax you just put on. So we're going to take this mirror right here and make sure you keep a clean rag. I try to dedicate a rag to only my wax, but for the sake of the video we're going to go ahead and use this. Say it's a pretty deep scratch. What I'm going to go ahead and do, it's right there, we'll just start working this rubbing compound in. Now you want to keep working it in until that scratch disappears. Now sometimes the entire scratch won't disappear, but it'll go black again, and so as long as it's black and not all hazy from the scratches, then we've accomplished it. Go ahead and wipe off all that compound, and then we'll go to the polishing glaze. Now this polishing glaze is made for black because black is the toughest color to be able to look good. So if you can find like a dark glaze, polishing glaze, that works good. Now you're going to want to go over the entire area and some of where you've compounded. So you're basically working up, if you can imagine, when you're sanding, you work up grits. This is the same thing you're doing right now. You're going to want to really rub that in, get all those compound scratches out, and then wipe it off. Now neither of these are actually putting a coating on your mirror. They are, like I said, strictly if you want to envision them as sandpaper. Now what you're going to do on top of that, now we're going to put our protectant, which is our wax. Like I said, I prefer a carnauba wax rather than a cleaner wax. And if you've never waxed anything before, you're actually going to want to put a nice coat on there. You don't need to really buff this in like you do with polish or glaze. You're just going to want to put a little bit of a coat on. Then you're going to want to let it dry. Now depending on how hot it is, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. What this is actually going to do is allow your black clear coat to be protected by that wax, to keep it from scratching. Whether you want to install it after the wax, it'll keep your hands from scratching it up. So like I said, 5-10 minutes, generally, depending on how hot it is. You want it to dry. You don't want it to smear when you rub your finger on there. You'll know when it's dry because you'll hit it, and it'll actually disappear in that area. Now, what you do have to be careful for, though, is when it's too hot out, you don't want to let that wax bake on there, especially with this black. What you're going to want to do is come in and buff this out real well. Like I said, if you want to use the quick detailer to quickly spray on there, just to get any residue off, that's fine. And then that will be brand new looking. Like I said, the quick detailer, if you're ever cleaning off anything that's gloss black, use a detailing spray. Don't use isopropyl alcohol because it'll remove that wax that you just put on. So that's it. If you want to install it now and then maybe touch it back up with a wax if you scratch it at all. And then I also wanted to mention a product that I use for chrome If you know, we get some chrome in that have black spots, have some corrosion, something like this. I use Neverdol, it's made by Eagle One. It comes with a soaked cotton wadding. Now this is an abrasive, so do not use this on your gloss black product. This is intended only for chrome, mag aluminum, polish, anything like that. And so say you had some of those black spots that wouldn't rub off. You don't want to use a whole lot of pressure on here. Let the product work for itself, and just kind of come in here and work it. Now this will cause some kind of micro scratches, but they won't be enough to tell, but they will get off any imperfections that were there before. Now if chrome is scratched, this isn't going to do anything for it because chrome is a plating. But what this will do is if there's anything on top of the chrome, it will get rid of that. So just work until it's all gone. Same thing, wipe it off, and then you are done. And that's it. That's how I take care of all the chrome and gloss black. Thanks.